Hello, and thanks for tuning in to My Next Guest Is for another episode of 5 Minutes with AJ. Today, I want to talk about schools reopening for the fall. I posted something earlier that read, and I'm quoting, "How is it that your kid can't enroll in school if they aren't vaccinated for illnesses that aren't an immediate threat, but a deadly virus with no vaccine or known cure at its height is safe for your children to go back to school," end quote. Now, I want to put a caveat right here. This is not a pro or con vaccination discussion. Although I do think that is an important discussion to have. The current situation is that certain vaccines are required for most school systems. So I'm addressing that fact that vaccines are required for school systems. Because I don't want this to go off on a whole vax, anti-vax, because that's not the intent of the conversation. This is about education. And with schools, I guess that all schools require that. I just don't know. What I do know is that when I went back for my PhD, NYU required me to get an MMR, mumps, measles, and rubella, and it had been a long time since I had gotten them, and the records were long gone, and I had to get the shots. So I know that at least, NYU did it. I don't know about K through 12 schools, but I would imagine. So I was thinking about this very recently on a rare trip out of the house for me to go and get groceries. And it was a warm day, and we were taking the ride into town, and some kids were outside in their backyard enjoying the nice weather. It was beautiful. And they were running around, they were having a great time. There was no social distancing whatsoever, and not one of the kids had masks on. And, and I only think to myself how difficult that would be to do in any event. I'm not a parent I have fur kids, but no human children, and I can only imagine how difficult it would be to keep 7, 8, 9-year-olds, or even younger than that, wearing their masks and social distancing. And I mean, that's not even the point of playing, right? Who wants to socially distance when you're playing? That's not a lot of fun, is it? But this brings me back to this idea of school. And, when you're in your backyard and it's your kids or your neighbor's kids and their parents know they're there, everybody's kind of buying into that. But in the school system, it's not one kid, one family. It's one kid, everyone's family. It's been very, very stressful. It'll be very stressful for the students, no matter what it looks like. They've already been stressed. If you think that these kids are not stressed, they're absolutely stressed just like we are. Most of them don't want mommy and daddy to be their teachers also. They know that from this last spring. And I say most, not all. And now, on top of all this, we're trying to expect them to actually learn something. And so this is where I come in. Quality structured learning is not something that happens by accident. I may not be qualified, meaning actually certified, to talk about too many things, but learning is one thing I can talk about. And intentional learning is not an accident. But the real problem here is that, what I meant to say by all that is that the learning could be designed to be effective. But the real problem here is that politics is at play here. It has to be, right? I mean, it has been in the past as well. It has been as long as money's involved, politics is involved, especially when it comes to tax dollars and governments and all that other stuff. But this is an election year following a pandemic. How on earth could politics not be in play? But the real heart of the problem is that economics is what's driving the political agenda. People are sitting in some room somewhere doing a cost-benefit analysis on this. But my question is, what will the cost or benefit to learning anything be when students get sick and perhaps die? But more likely, bring it home to their parents or grandparents, and they get sick and perhaps die. And then what about the teachers? Think about what we're asking these teachers to do. All throughout the spring, parents were saying, my God, how do these teachers do this? We seem to have forgotten already. This is a design issue. We do not need to be asking teachers and students to be risking their lives. Learning can be effective at home. When there is time and resources to plan, to design the learning, virtual high schools and exceptional online universities, along with volumes of research, have proven long ago that learning can be accomplished effectively when designed properly to take into consideration the affordances of the medium that's being used. So I apologize, I've already gone over my time here with you today, and I thank you for listening. That's it for now. Do you think any education should be in person this fall? If there are varying degrees, what are they? Do you have any other thoughts on today's content or something you'd like to hear me ramble on about, or a guest or a topic you'd like to see a guest on? Or do you just have comments on any of the episodes? Please feel free to let me know via our anchor.fm homepage, which is anchor.fm, my next guest is, in comments on Facebook, which is fb.me/my next guest is, or on Twitter @my next guest is. Now, if you're on Spotify, please follow me, and you can find the podcasts also via Google Podcasts and the podcast mobile apps Breaker, Overcast, Pocket Casts, and Radio Public. Want to find everything all in one place? Well, I'm starting to pull this all together here. You could check us out at sites.google.com/view/my next guest is /home. I promise to have a better URL for that shortly. Shortened URL for that. As always, all of the links will be in the episode descriptions. Thanks again for listening. Be good to yourself and be good to each other.